Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of an interesting gentleman this time. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. As you know, the Her Story Circle is all inclusive. 25% of my guests are men. I believe that as women, we live in a world with 50% men, 50% women, and we have to bring them to the table, include them in our spaces. So welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to the people from Australia. My name is Charles W. Wilson, and I'm in southeast part of the United States in a town called Flowery Branch, Georgia. I've been in this location for about 6 years. I was born and raised in the western part of the country in Colorado, and moved to Georgia to be with my family, my grandsons and my son and daughter-in-law. I am married. I've been married 57 years. I have 6, 7 grandchildren. I have to keep counting, checking on my fingers and finding out. I have some living in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and some here in Georgia. I enjoy family. It's an integral part of our life, is having your family and being part of that family, and just sharing good things and bad things that come along. I've been in this business a long time. I started this business in 1968 and learning the financial world. I do not have a college degree, so my education came from being able to learn on the job, or I call it street education in here. I was fortunate along the way to have many people come alongside me and mentor me and teach me financial principles, and I've enjoyed it for an immense number of years. It has been a great way to encourage and help people to understand uh, how finances work here in the United States. And it's similar all over the world. I mean, you have different governments, different ways to do things, but the, the principles are the same. So I enjoy that very much. Uh, it is my goal to educate people at this stage of my life. I don't need to have a lot of income, so I want to give back to the communities that I live in, and especially younger people. I love helping younger adults to understand how money can be a benefit to them, but it also can be a detriment. So you have to learn the good and bad about money. Everybody thinks money's going to solve the problems. It's not going to solve all your problems. So that's what I'm excited about doing and helping people. So that's a little bit of my background. Um, Whatever I can do to educate and help, I'm here to help.
Charles, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Really excited to delve into the world of wealth and wisdom, which is what this episode is called, because a lot of women don't really get to learn about financial literacy. Sometimes they rely on husbands and spouses, and then they find themselves in a very, very difficult place. So, what inspired you to pursue your career in financial education?
That's a good question. Not having a purpose in life. I was in the military for 3 years and got out. And my father had a small business in where I grew up at. He wanted to know if I wanted to take that business over, and I did not. It was something I did not like. She says, well, you're not going to be staying home doing nothing, so you better find out what you want to do in life. So I ventured out and found a, back in my time, there was a companies called financial companies that helped people with less ability to pay than a bank. They weren't banks, but they were companies that people couldn't qualify for in a bank. They could come to us. We trained them, we helped them, and I was trained on how to manage an office. And then they wanted me to transfer, so then I moved away from that and went into the banking industry in Colorado. I started at the bottom. I learned everything I could. Again, as I mentioned earlier, mentors were a big part of helping me. Moved up the ladder by hard work, and was eventually a vice president of a bank in Colorado, where the president of the bank wanted me to become the president one day. I said, no, I do not wish that responsibility. And then banking in Colorado became very impersonal. I'm a type of person that likes to build relationships with people, likes to have customers that see a value in just having those relationships. And banking became impersonal in Colorado and in the United States.
Mhm.
So I decided to go and start my own company where I did mortgages. I've done insurance products, and that's what I do now. I do safe money things as far as investments. I don't stay in the stock market. I don't deal in risk. I
Um,
agree with you, Gertrude, that many young women and many women are left hanging out there until something drastic happens to the spouse. They,
mhm.
they don't know the first place to start. They get petrified. A lot of them get petrified over handling money or even the checkbook or even those things. And it's important that they get involved. Put the fear aside and just once you start doing it over and over again, it becomes easier and easier to do things like balance your checkbook, start looking about what do I need to protect my family as far as insurances, what do I need to invest in my family to have future money to live on, what does retirement look like? These things, they'll come. That's what will
Yeah.
happen.
Now, I know that you've identified 5 major financial challenges that anyone, male or female, will encounter. Can you briefly explain what they are?
Yes, I can. I hope I can anyway. The number one thing I think that attacks the money here in the States, there's 5 categories, but the number one is taxes. Taxes will take the biggest chunk out of our money here in the States. Then it comes down to risk. Where do you put your money to make money?
Right.
Invest. So if you invest in something that is always uncertain, you don't know if it's going to go up, you don't know if it's going to go down. So you have to be careful where you put that risk at because you could lose it and it takes a long time to recuperate it. Then
Yes.
it's inflation. Inflation is the prices that you start paying for goods in the store where your dollar doesn't buy as much as it used to buy because the prices of things have gone high. For a while here in the States, a dozen of eggs was running close to $5 a dozen, which is absurd here in the States. And it's down now to maybe somewhere around, I'm about 295, I think is the last I saw for a dozen of eggs here. Gas prices, economic things affect the world stage. The world's in turmoil. This country's doing this country's doing that affects things. So you got inflation and you got devaluation. That's another thing. And then you
Mhm.
got government rules and regulations. So the 5 things are taxes, risk, government rules and regulations, inflation, and deflation of your money. Those are the 5 key areas. And the biggest chunks, if I'll give you an example, people here put money into a 401k and they get a statement every month. And let's say they put in $100,000 over the last 30 years. And I'll come up and ask these people, okay, is that 100,000 all yours? Oh, yes. Well, here in the States, that is money that doesn't get taxed. In other words, it goes in tax free. But when you
Right.
start taking it out, you have to pay taxes on it.
Uh-huh.
So when they start taking that money to live on, the government comes in and said, I want my portion. And it
Mm.
can be anywhere from 20 to 30% of that. So if you have $100,000, you might only end up with having 75,000.
Yeah.
So there's a
Well,
cut in right there. So you need to find out where can you put money that doesn't have the biggest tax hit against it, where you're going to pay a lot of taxes in the future. And I help people understand that.
So 70% of my database is actually US based. So you might as well use a lot of examples from the United States as well. What are some common misconceptions that people have about money?
I think it's, to me, in my way of thinking, it's people's discipline and how to know a need versus a want.
Right.
Okay. Because we're bombarded all the time with these things. You need to have this, the best TV. You need to have this, the best car. Do you need it or do you want it?
Yeah.
And you end up draining your finances on that. And distribution, okay. In the early stages of your life, from let's say the time you start working at 35 till maybe around 55 or 60, you're in what we call the accumulation for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
With your 401ks, your IRAs, or whatever investment you're putting your money into for future. So you need to understand that flow of money, and you need to understand that things can happen. I
Yes.
tell people, if I was starting out my life and I've done this, I want a solid foundation for my future.
Yeah.
If I tell my clients, I want you to build a house, and I want you to sit down with the people that design the house and the architects. And I said, what would be the strongest feature you want that house to be? It's the foundation. You want a
Yeah.
strong foundation under your house. The same thing with your finances. You want a strong foundation that isn't going to go up and down or be eroded with risk. Okay. And as much
Yes.
tax free as you can. So once you build that foundation, then you can add on the other risk investments, real estate, stock market. I don't care whatever, but you've got that foundation that you can rely on. That's not going to be eroded or go away. It's
Yeah.
guaranteed. And the biggest thing I think I hear in the States, or people that are even listening, the stock market is the best place to be. It is a good place to be. However, it's unstable.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's been in a real great run over the last 10, 15 years, but now we're seeing a lot of up and down and what they call volatility. And
Yes.
that's tough for people to stay to. We build on insurance products where it's a guaranteed contract. You're going to get this much earnings every year. I
Okay.
don't know how many of the people listening have ever heard the story of the tortoise and hare. It was a fairy tale that was told to a lot of people, a childhood story, where a tortoise he challenged a rabbit for a race because he was fast. He could beat that rabbit. So they had that race, and the tortoise took off really slow, just like, just barely crawling. And that rabbit just shot out like a shotgun and ran clear up. He said, I'm so far ahead, I can wait. I can wait now. And so he would, and pretty soon the old tortoise would catch up and pass him up. Oh, I better get going again. And he charges out again. By the time he got done, the tortoise had beat him because this guy was exhausted doing the sprints. The tortoise just plodded along and got to the goal. So sometimes getting great big gains or return on your investment is not what you need to always look at. You need to look at consistency. And I think that's what a lot of people don't look at in the States. They want the big gains. They want that big pot of gold when they retire. And I guarantee you, I've been in this business over 50 some years, and I've seen a lot of ups and downs. I've seen people lose a lot of money in their 401ks over stock market stuff. So, and taxation. So it's dangerous. Be
Yeah. So
balanced. Be diversified.
you need to play in a lane where you have some kind of guarantee you'll get something at the end and not just risk everything you have. I think this is what I'm hearing.
Yes, what I'm
So
talking.
how can someone with no financial background begin building financial confidence? Where's the starting point?
If they have no idea of financial principles, or Gertrude, I need to break that down a little bit. Have
Yeah.
they been exposed to any type of savings plans through banks or anything like that, CDs, stuff like that? I'm not a big believer in putting money into a CD because it doesn't get you a lot of money return. It's stable, but there's not much upward movement. It hardly keeps up with inflation. Okay. So we
Yes.
build our platforms on dividend paying whole life insurance and universal index life insurance. And people say, I don't need life insurance. Okay. You have these policies are in life insurances plus extra money to put into cash. And the cash is your personal bank. So they set aside in a separate account. And this is very easy to do. You can buy a $100,000 death benefit and it might then have a, and this is examples. I'm using examples. Okay. I'm not, I'm, I'll do anybody an illustration. I can tell them that, but here's what they do. They say they put $100 in and $60 of that goes into a cash account and 50% goes to the premium. Okay. 60%, $60 then gets paid right now is getting paid 6%. Okay. Now, next year, it goes up from $60 going in there to $70 and your premium cost goes down. So by in 10 years, you're getting most of your $100 into the cash account. And that cash account is tax free.
Right.
You don't pay taxes on it. And that's a slow way to build it up to have a good base. We have people start with $100 a month, which is $1,200 a year. And it depends on their age and depends on their health. You have to qualify for insurance, life insurance. You have to have good health. It's not just handed to you. So I just say I'll put it against anything in my life that has been steadier and pays better, and it's there when I needed it. So
That's
it's
fantastic.
it's easy to do. If people would just contact anybody that's a licensed insurance agent, whether it's me or somebody else, that can, it takes time to want to talk to you about teaching you, not just
Mm,
asking for getting the commission. That's what you
yes.
want. You want somebody that will work with you and teach you. And that's what I've done for the years. I've helped out. I'm helping out second generations of parents. I'm helping out their kids now.
Oh, that's
So
just
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah,
So, what
it's
are the
good.
3 things that everyone should do to protect their financial future?
Well, number one, learn to live within your means. Be disciplined. That's number one to me. If you don't do that, if you can't learn to say no, um,
Yeah.
and communicate if you're married. If you're married, you communicate with your spouse. It's the biggest thing that I see happen is that money is one of the biggest problems. And if you do that, it's going to help you out a whole lot. I I can truthfully say that my 57 years of marriage hasn't always been what I should have been as a husband. That's taken me a long time to learn. My wife needs to be involved in everything that I do, not have my secret account over here or secret account over there. It belongs to, in my way, it belongs to God. It's my belief. He gave it to me. It belongs to Him. He's given me the responsibility to take care of it, and that's what I do. And that day. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then find something that's stable, that's guaranteed, as you said, Gertrude, something that's stable. It's not going to be any risk. Those things, if you start that way, then you can build that confidence. You talk about confidence. That's how you build that confidence, is
Yeah.
when you start seeing the growth of that. And it takes about maybe 5 years to see that growth in that policy, that money building up in cash value. It's got 2 columns. It's got your death benefit. It's got your cash value. Your death benefit is what happens if you pass away. The cash value is what you are, is your personal bank. You can draw on that anytime you want. And I teach people that. I teach people how they can use that to pay off cars and then pay themselves back.
Hmm.
You pay back. I teach people that. So
That's wonderful.
I enjoy it.
So, I know that you are very passionate about legacy and building a legacy. Let's speak about legacy and what does that mean to you beyond just money?
I think your family is your biggest asset.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the biggest amount of money you put into your children and your livelihood, into your house. Don't forsake it because you need to teach them one of things about money. When I was in the banking industry, I used to have customers come in and say, could you talk to my son or daughter about finances? They were like in high school. And I says, yeah, what did you say to them? Well, I told them this about money. I told them this about money. I said this about money. I say, okay, send them in. I'll talk to them. They came in. We went over that. I talked to them. They got home and talked to their parents. And He said, well, what Walt say? He said, do this, do that. The same thing I told you, wasn't it? Yeah. they, they have to listen to somebody else tell them or advise them what they should do. Sometimes they don't listen to parents, but parents are important. Stay with your children, teach them the discipline, teach them that money does not resolve all issues in life. It is nice to have it there, but it's not going to solve. I've seen wealthy people lose everything because of selfishness and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it actually doesn't buy you happiness either.
No, it does not buy you happiness. I'm sad to see many people see that later in life, and they wish they had taken a different path. Different things.
So how can parents start teaching their children about money in everyday life?
People have asked me, when's it too early for a child to have some type of a bank account? I said, well, if I would start with home, I'd say, first of all, if you pay them allowance, first of all, show them to put money away somewhere. Don't have, they get, let's say, $10 a week. Have them learn to only live on $3.
Yeah.
Put the other $7 away. And then keep a ledger. Help them learn math by adding that money each time they put that money in there. And it was on the other side, when they spend, have them learn to subtract that money out. And when it's zero, they have no more. They can't touch this over here. They can't touch the savings. Okay. They got to teach that. Then do this when they get a little older, just before they start their first job. Teach them what taxation looks like. Because when they get the first paycheck, they've worked this many hours, and all of a sudden, well, I calculate this, I get $7 an hour, and I've worked 40 hours, I should get this amount of money, and all of a sudden, it's a lot less. Teach them what taxation does and why it's there. Those are the biggest thing. Teach them to read contracts, leases, things that let them understand they have to be literally wise about things. When you go out to buy a car, rent an apartment, whatever it might be, get a phone plan. You ever look at any of those phone plans you get involved in? Teach them the pitfalls. You've gone through it. The parent has usually made a mistake. I made mistakes with my kid. I didn't teach them the right things. So teach them, help them. Look, you're the one that shows them. Don't let the schools teach them. Teach them out of your life. Out of your life, out of your experiences. That's why you had those experiences, good or bad. You have them. So if you just start little things as they're young, you work an hour, you get paid this. Paying 50 cents. When I started working for my father in his store, I made 50 cents an hour.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, for those women who are feeling financially behind, let's say you've gone through a divorce, you've just turned 50, you don't have any savings, you don't have this, you don't have that. What advice would you give someone who's feeling financially behind?
That's a hard question, Gertrude. It's very, very depressing.
Yeah.
As a financial person, whether you're in the stock market or whatever you're in, there's one thing a financial advisor can never give you back. What do you think that is?
Time.
Time.
Yeah.
Time is lost over that time period. I'm not trying to be a negative person on this, but time is the biggest thing that you need to have to build a nest egg. But don't stop. If your health is good, you have some disposable income. In other words, you're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
You can put away, as I said earlier, $100, $1,200 a year, and you can start building a nest egg, because you may not retire at 65. So you've got 15 years to compound. 15 years, okay? Mm-hmm. So you let that compound, and you can add to those. You can build more into that once you get a pay raise. Here's the problem I have. People get pay raises, and they need to keep up with living costs, but don't take it all. Bank some of it.
Yes.
Bank 1% or 2% of your pay raise. You need to increase that because you got inflation, you got all these things, but learn to be disciplined and take it a little bit. A little bit adds up to a lot. Mm-hmm. You know the old adage about how do you digest an elephant? or eat an
One
elephant.
bite at a time. Yes.
That's right. The same way with your finances.
Yeah.
Okay. One bit at a time. If you never do it, you've lost the time and you've lost whatever money you could put in at the time.
Yeah.
So
That's so
don't
true.
procrastinate. That's the word that I hate. Be disciplined and be responsible to take action and do it. That's it.
So, what
I,
is the biggest financial mistakes that you see people making, and how can they avoid it?
I think I stated this earlier, and I don't want to be simple, but it's very simple. It's the desire to have something you don't need. It's
Yes.
trying to keep up with everybody else. Be within yourself. Be within your own means. Stay within that ability to take care of yourself or your family or that. I just see people all of a sudden in communication with spouses or whoever it is that you're residing with. That will tear people apart. If you do not communicate, you don't know what someone does over here and someone does over there. My wife and I, when we first got married, made a vow to each other because the first Christmases we try to outspend each other on gifts. Okay, it doesn't work well.
Yeah.
So we went the radical different way. We don't do anything. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
we went one side
It's
to the
so
other side.
funny.
But during the year, during that year, if we do things for one another and share with things one another, not just at one time of the year. Do you understand
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
We
it's
spread it out.
consistent.
Yes. And that's been hard for both of us at times. We don't even do birthdays. Um, but it's good because we take special time and be with each other. We take a special trip together. That to me is more important than the money and the gifts.
For gifts. Yeah. That is
You
so
can't
true.
replace those moments. You can't replace those times together
Yeah.
because
And that's
it
the whole
goes.
thing you were talking about time earlier, that nobody can give you back those most moments.
I agree
I love
100%. You're true.
the biggest currency we have. So now let's end our interview with two last questions, which are a bit of a thought experiment.
Not good luck. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
In the first one, I'm going to take you back to the younger you, this young man who got married, was building a family. If you could go back and give yourself 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, just in case there is a young family out there listening to this podcast, what 3 nuggets of wisdom could you share?
The first one I would share to get rid of my selfishness and my pride. I think men want to be the caretaker of everything and we can solve all problems. Uh, I think I neglected to involve my wife more in decision making, in the financial things that we talked about. I felt that I could just take and do it all, take and do it all, and not have her to worry about anything in that area. That was probably my biggest mistake in doing that, and that probably is what I talk about communication, especially in a marriage. Um, when you first get married as a husband and wife, you go, you need to talk about what you're bringing in the marriage as far as your biases against money, your biases against many things, not just money, but many things that you're biased against, and share those with us and talk about them. It's important that we see each other as being help to each other, not detriments to each other. We need to basically uh, encourage. I think encouragement was one of my weaknesses. Also, I never encouraged my wife. I think in women, a man can shut down a woman by just not encouraging her. She just wills, just closes up. If you don't encourage her and praise her and nourish her, she'll close up like a flower. I mean, she won't respond. I learned that, but it took me a long time, and I'm still learning it, even in the later years of my life. So those are my biggest things I would have changed in my life. Um, we were fortunate enough to be on the same spiritual level and sharing the same faith. That got us through a lot of the problems in our early marriage. You need a strong faith.
Absolutely wonderful. Last question, I'm going to teleport you into the future this time. And we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you, this wise man who has led you up until this point. If you could go into the future to meet the older you, what will you say to him when you finally meet him?
That's a tough one, Gertrude. I don't know what I'd say to him. I keep talking to him daily. I'm only about 11 years from that date, so I got to be careful what I say. I would say basically, my only claim to fame that I want people to know about is that I belong to Jesus Christ. That's the only thing I want people to know. I want them to know also that their family is the most important thing, and the time you spend with your family is the most important thing. Whatever you do, keep that family together. That family is your legacy. And make sure you don't become bitter at one another. Love each other. Take care of each other. It's important. The world's got enough problems. Make sure your family stays united.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming online and sharing your wisdom with us, Charles. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to share you with our community, to bring financial literacy to the hearts and minds of the women who listen to this show. Now, I've got your website scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Is that the best way people can find you?
Yes, it is, Gertrude. That is the best way.
And you are helping people online and in person as well, I'm sure.
Yes, I do a lot of video conferencings, so I can do that. I cover a lot of parts of the United States. I can be licensed in any state. I'm licensed in about 5 now, so I can help people all over the states.
Fantastic. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Wealth and Wisdom part of the Her Story Circle podcast is here to bring you the stories and voices of people from all over the world. We will share these stories to uplift you, to empower you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. And like Charles said, it's never too late to start. The thing is to get started wherever you are in life, knowing that you've got a few years ahead of you. Get on it immediately. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Charles, don't go away. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story. Thank you.